You are watching UCU Focus TV.
Good evening and welcome to this episode of the UC Focus Point. Definitely going to be the final one this semester. Amidst exam preparations, we would like to discuss the General Assembly that happened last week on Friday, and of course just backtrack through the events that made headlines this semester in as far as student politics are concerned. Now, we did make invitation to someone from Cabinet as well as Parliament and the student community, and of course the Attorney General did confirm attendance to this show, but decided to turn down our invitation after finding out that a certain panelist was coming. And so, due to that effect, we don't have someone from Cabinet. That notwithstanding that, we do have with me from the student side the president of the Launchpad debate, Tamara Nkoye. Welcome to the show.
I'm very delighted to be part of this show, Comrade Timothy.
And of course, we do have the MP School of Law as well as Clerk to Parliament, Marvin Moronji.
Thank you so much.
All right, gentlemen, I'd like us to pick it up from where we ended on Friday, the General Assembly.
Yes.
Marvin, what are your take-homes? What were the things to write about? What went by?
So, the General Assembly was, by and large, a very successful event. I think it is one of the successes that the 27th Guild government will take home. One of its kind, at least for the years that I have been in UCU. This has been a very momentous occasion. The 27th Guild government, spearheaded by the Speaker of Parliament, was able to join hands with the administration, and we had our General Assembly this last Friday. It was a good event. The speakers were wonderful. We had the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Justice Byabakama Simon, who was our chief guest, and we had a lot to take home from the conversations he had with us. We also had many representatives from the team coming from Electoral Commission. We also had Julius Muchunguzi, who is the spokesperson. Yes. And who else? I think that was it. Oh yes, we also had the president of the Alumni Association, who had a lot to talk about, which was also a very, very good opportunity. It was my first time listening from him, and I loved it. But generally, looking at the assembly, I think the assembly was a wonderful opportunity for the student leaders to learn from the people that were invited. Secondly, the General Assembly was a wonderful opportunity for the students fraternity, to have a communication and dialogue with not only the student leaders, but also with the people that had been invited to inaugurate and also spearhead the whole event. So I think it was a wonderful opportunity. There was a wonderful triangle that was built: the students fraternity, the student leaders, and also the administration. So yes, I think it was a wonderful and successful occasion.
Nkoye, you did make the opening question to the EC boss after his submission.
Yes.
So I'd like to pick your highs and lows at the event. What stood out? What do you think needs to be done better?
Thank you very much. But before I go to the question, I thank my colleague here for, I think he has given us the general overview. But before I delve into that matter, I would like to join the entire nation to send my earnest commiserations to the family of Professor Kanyihamba and to all the law students, the lovers of constitutionalism, rule of law, and democratic governance. He was a great pillar of our jurisprudence, the decisions that he has been involved in, the books that he has authored. I think we we as a country and as lovers of constitutionalism lost a very important icon of this profession, but also the future of our nation. Constitutionalism, yes. And I think we need to draw reference from his life, we, the next generation, but also the current leaders, that the things you do today you are the ones that we're going to hold accountable, are the ones we're going to speak about your life after you can no longer say anything. I was listening to Dr. Sam Kazibwe giving his overview, what he called Tochi Mubulamu Kanyehamba, overview of the life of Professor Kanyehamba, and he talks about his life way back in 1970s, the debate that he attended with General Museveni, the one that was moderated by the one that had members like Ali Mazrui, and then Rodin from Guyana. A very important discourse, very important discussions happened, more like the one that we're having today. And I think we need to credit and also appreciate him for the contribution that he has made to this country. Back to this, the General Assembly, like my honorable member of parliament, because I fall under his constituents, he did deliberate so much well on what transpired. Mine, as you state, that I forwarded the first question and was in line with the roadmap. I want to credit the 27th Guild Speaker or Parliament as a whole for having taken the initiative. Usually what we have had in the General Assemblies has been a maneuver and a hide around by the Guild governments. But this time around we had a very different ingredient of the General Assembly. And from that platform that I had the opportunity to air out a concern that is not just within the confines of UCU, but a country at large. The number of days that have been demarcated, allotted to the presidential candidates. And I think, to me, much as the Honorable Justice did answer, he didn't satisfy in his answers because he makes hint of Article 61, I think Article 61 of the Constitution, that bars them from going beyond a certain period of time. But we have 146 districts. But you're allocating 100 days for these campaigns, and these days are just not enough even to move half of the districts, given the hindrances, the troubles that presidential candidates meet. The Electoral Commission, as it is supposed to set terms that make it favorable even for the lowest candidate to be able to run through the election and the electoral period. To me, that was a take-home point, and I think we need to reflect more of our electoral process because it defines so much of our democracy. And I credit that for the Guild leadership, having considered getting us the chairperson himself, and also the other questions that the student asked are very pertinent, not only to the UCU community, but also to the general, to the country at large.
I want to stick with you a bit. We are speaking about the EC chairperson as the guest speaker on this occasion, but also looking at the timing of the General Assembly. We are heading towards elections next year, and we're having this assembly on the theme promoting civic engagement and responsible citizenry among the youth. Whereas we've been the EC on their side for the shortcomings that they may have therein, do you think that we as young people are doing enough to participate in this process and be able to ensure that it brings out the kind of outcomes that it's supposed to bring out? Because if you look, for example, starting with elections here on campus, at society level, at guild level, there's a low voter turnout, there's limited engagement. Talk about campaigns. I don't know how many students, for example, can, beyond knowing the slogan of a specific candidate, tell you elaborately about their manifestos. So from where you stand, you lead a debate platform like Launchpad that gets into interrogating the different packages that these leaders bring for us. From where you stand, do you think that we as young people are doing enough to hold people like Marvin Arrange to a high standard in the different positions that they are in?
I would state that it depends, where people of different character and aspiration. you cannot force one to take interest into issues of governance. And yet issues of governance concern us as a whole, as a university, as a nation at large. Because if you don't involve yourself in these civic engagements, the quality of services will not be to the best. Today now, we have issues concerning the printeries, the canteens down there, that we have it on credible ground that they are going to be evicted, they're going to be chased out of the university by 1st August. And we have not had any guild leader talk about it. But you see, students who stay in their hostels, who stay in Sabiti, who stay at Kronos, who stay at Premier, to say that these things don't concern us, the General Assembly doesn't concern us, are the ones who are going to be affected. If these people are put out or have been directed to leave the university premises and they have not been given an alternative of where to stay, it is us to suffer. We are the first victims.
And that's the exact question I wanted to put to you. Are we as students fronting this? Because at the end of the day, they are doing representation, legislation. Are we doing enough to ensure that we are holding them to the kind of standard that can let them front such ideas?
Just in case also they are willing to be held accountable. Because you stated that I'm the president, yes. The willingness of the students to hold leaders accountable should move in tandem with the leaders willing to be held accountable and also account to the electorate themselves. You state that indeed I am the president of the Launchpad Debate Club, and on several occasions we have invited the leaders, our guild leaders, to come and at least have a say. In our invitation letter to the Prime Minister, because he's the leader of the government business, we stated that he would have 15 minutes of protected time to tell us their achievements, perspectives, and what they intend, where they have faced challenges, and where they need our input as the Beyond Students community. Never did we have a chance of him surfacing for that debate, and so we proceeded ex parte. Yes? So, the students' willingness to hold their leaders accountable and also get involved in these civic education activities runs in tandem with the leaders. Are they willing? Just here you've stated you're supposed to have one of the guild officials. Article 24 of the guild constitution accords the executive powers to the executive, which executive is led by the president. And if the president cannot be here, they can delegate any kind of minister. That's why they have ministers. In this current government, I think we have 30 ministers, and if you woke up the president from sleep, she cannot mention all her ministers. Now, of all the 30, we cannot have any one of them here to at least give the government position on some of pertinent issues, like one you have noted, the printeries and the canteens down there. So, our leaders, as the students, pick up the interest, the willingness, because it doesn't need the entire university. Mukoyo alone can do that. If I made a say on certain issue, it is incumbent upon our leaders to come and say, give what their position is, because they're supposed to be our voice, and they're supposed to bridge a gap between us and the administration.
Fair enough.
Every time they fail to fulfill that, we shall mark them as F students.
Alright. The General Assembly, as we know it, is meant to have guild leaders, specifically from cabinet, presenting accountability to students in between a parliamentary session chaired by the speaker.
Yes.
We lost that moment, and there's been a lot of different opinions basically going on a wayward side about that. We had a discussion of set about it, but I just feel that you need to state it for the record and let students know why we're not able to have that.
Okay. I think that's a very, very pertinent question, considering the agenda was followed to a certain extent. As I said before, and as everyone noted, we had the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, and he was our guest speaker, and these are the people that we needed to listen to because of what they had to give us. So we had the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, we had the president of the UCU alumnus, and these are the people who, after listening to them, I think the students in attendance were more interested in asking questions that were in connection to what the speech that was given by these two able people that we brought on board that day. So I think that is where we had a challenge. we had a challenge with the fact that the questions were many, and most of the questions were also equally very important. And I think this was very important considering the fact that the team that came from the Electoral Commission also utilized this as a chance to commune with the youth, the students' fraternity, because these are the people that are, as we said before, these are the people that are going to be heavily affected by next year's timeline of the elections. So I think it was a good opportunity. It was fortunate and also quite unfortunate that we did not have our sit-in session. We did not have the layout of reports from the different entities of the cabinet. But I think it was fortunate enough that the people in attendance were also very able to learn from the Electoral Commission, the processes, and those are the nitty-gritties that I believe the cabinet, the 27th Guild government has really won at, bringing such education, such civic engagement to the students. So I think it was a win-win situation. The loss that we got of not having the sit-in session was, I think it was something that could be sacrificed. I think indeed the General Assembly was looking more at educating the students' community on civic engagement, and that is what the team from the Electoral Commission was able to give us. So it was a win-win.
Nkoyo, I will mention again that you asked the first question to the EC chairman.
Yes.
We lost the sitting session, like he said.
Yes.
Do you also look at it as a win-win on your side?
I think it's a win-win. I personally, I didn't expect much as regards to accountability from the guild officials because they're not willing to be held accountable. I was surprised even to see some of them. One of the person that would expect to be the first one in the poll didn't appear. This has been the tradition about, and this is the way guild governments have run away with the issue of accountability. And I told this to the people, to the launch padders, because we heard something of the same sort. Invited the Prime Minister, like I noted earlier on. Never. There is a guild government. Was it Tahinduka, the Prime Minister? Yes, could be around. And Uncle came and they said all their reports, whatever, when it came to the issue of accountability, the way they flipped papers. We shall take 2 questions, but I think those 2 questions were already positioned from people. Okay, time is done. I think we need to go for lunch. Even when students were willing to listen. So, I personally, like he says, it was a win-win because I had a platform to air out a concern that is not only a university issue but also a national issue that is going to the core of our electoral democracy.
And you expected the feedback? I
expected feedback much as I was not satisfied. But as regards to accountability, Launchpad has been doing that, and if our leaders were willing to really pay heed to the issues that we raise, it's like some of the times they have taken it to be that every time we ask for accountability, it is an attack on them personally. But our asking of accountability is not an attack on them, it's an attack on their offices because they are public offices. If we ask, why are you appointing your classmates? Why are you smuggling a class list into a cabinet, into parliament for vetting? That is holding our leaders accountable. Launchpad has been doing that, and we are able to save some of these of this mess from taking place. Some of the ministers, you bypass them and they cannot even reach you. Some of them are ministers because of Launchpad. Hadn't we banged the tables, some of them would not be ministers because they had entirely voted, they had entirely appointed a certain class as cabinet. We have talked about several other issues. The issue of Honorable Mulenzi Muto, who was sued by the Attorney General, a minister in a government was sued by the Attorney General, who's supposed to protect the position, who's supposed to defend the position of government, was sued with a defective plaint. Which defective plaint was as standard, simple legal principles. Once the plaint is defective, you struck out everything that it carries. And what the Chief Justice did was to advise for alternative dispute resolution ADR. How do you go for ADR in a thing that does not exist in law? And the tribunal itself constituted into the ADR, what term are they given? The tribunal. The tribunal constituted itself into the ADR committee.
Yes, there are committees.
Yes, and of which the ADR is the committee is supposed to report to the report to the tribunal. So you look at the mess and you ask, is it by choice or chaos that they are inspired by? So we have been part of those things, and the chairperson of the legal committee parliament is here with us. We submitted our report as regards to the constitutional amendments that Launchpad thinks are very pertinent, and we are very glad that Parliament considered some of them, and they are still under the process of amendment. So there are really some students who are keen on these issues, and they are taking a step ahead. Even they are not waiting for the General Assembly. As you saw what happened, you may never have a chance to do that. So we are just imploring our leaders to work with the students' community. We are not against them. We're just taking on our mandate as responsible citizens, as responsible students, to hold our leaders accountable, because we pay you. Are you aware that in the guild government we have money for the guild lunch, close to 5M, and it has an entire Ministry of Welfare is fully charged for that docket, for food. We pay half tuition, a certain segment of tuition to some of our leaders in the guild government. Their sitting allowances, their gowns that they put on, that much. If you assess the guild government, 70-80% of it is going for their welfare. So these are people that are eating on our behalf. So they must come back and report.
You make, I would say, a fairly accurate report in regards to how we fund them. But do you again think that the guild government is getting all the money that ideally they are supposed to get? Because at the same time we say they are taking 78%. Do you think that principally at the first level they even get what is enough for them to take care of what 5,000 students?
If they never find it necessary to come and report to us, how do we know? How do we demand for? Because this money we pay as part of our tuition. So that money must go to them. If they are eating on our behalf, let them eat. Now we must know. And that's what we are doing as Launchpad. We invited the Prime Minister to come and tell us, you see, you gave me, we have 68 government officials, and each government official is supposed to have a t-shirt of 50,000. That is equivalent to 3.4 something M of that money. But that money has not come yet. That's why you see some of the ministers look the way they look. As Launchpad, as students community, please help us amplify our voice and demand for this money, because we, as our leaders, we must be branded. But then if they never offer us that chance to hear from them and also hear from us, how then do we know that that money has never come? So it is incumbent upon them to come back and report to us and tell us, look, this money, much as you claim we have this and this much, it has not come. So far we have received, in this quarter we have received this less. Things of that kind.
That's a fair ask, and I'd put it to Marvin if you could speak to that in about a minute. The gentleman who is speaking wrote an invitation to Cabinet, I think through the Prime Minister, to come and make these presentations to on the floor of the pad. And I think no one came from Cabinet, if I am not mistaken.
No one. The only one that came were just Launchpadders, and they were not speaking in the position of the government.
So again, if you're to speak into that, the leaders that you work with on a daily basis, how willing are they to be accountable to the student structure?
So, in law, we learned that separation of powers and separation of organs. So there is the judiciary, there is the legislature, and the executive. Personally, on the government, I fall under the legislature as an MP. I don't think that it is under my jurisdiction to answer questions that will be affecting the executive, because I honestly don't have any correspondence there. The best correspondence we could have from the executive would be the representation of the Prime Minister, who unfortunately we do not have here today. So I don't think today my docket will allow me to. Anyway, it's not that it won't allow me, but I don't have any knowledge about that really. But my advice is that these are human beings. Yeah, simply reach out to them.
Which we have done.
Yes.
What more should we do?
I think
Reach
now
out again.
reach out again, because as I said, they're human beings. Maybe they were a bit busy. Maybe they had some extraneous factors. But as I said again, they're human beings. Yeah.
But I think the good government is not hard to get. It depends on what issues you're looking it for.
It also depends on the exact institution, the exact organ you're looking for. For example, the guild government is not hard to get because today you have gotten a member of parliament.
Which we have found easy to get.
Yes. So today you have gotten a member of parliament.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe tomorrow, if you're looking for a member of cabinet in the position of the Minister of Finance and you fail to get them, then there we could say that the guild government is hard to find.
I just have to stress also that from the time we started running this show, we made attempts to try to have someone from cabinet, which we have never been able to find. I need to stress that unfortunately you're not in the best place to respond to that. But I think we've always found it easy to have members of parliament. We've had the speaker on set. Actually, we had him last week.
Yes.
But we've always struggled to find the executive. So the next time you convene together as government, you could put in a word for us.
Yes. I think it's quite necessary, but I think since this arena that we are on of the focus point, I think it could, I don't know, you will guide me, if it falls under the Ministry of Communications. I think the minister in charge of communications would also be a very good avenue.
Which we
Maybe.
have also used.
So I think for all the avenues that I'm trying to preach, you have already used them.
They
So
have exhausted.
They have exhausted
We have
everything.
exhausted.
So I will just, maybe there I would, since this is a Christian university, I will keep you in my prayers. Keep you in my
Right,
prayers.
I'd like us to move to our final part of this discussion in under 5 minutes. When you look back at the semester, I'd like to start with Ngoyo from a student's perspective. What has the Guild government done right? Where have they scored? And going into the next semester, as they head up to hand over power, what would you want them to make changes on?
I've always been hesitant to have a discussion in line with Guild government. And as aware, you must be, several times have declined to be part of this panel. But I find it necessary to be part of this discussion because I think it goes beyond our interests, our emotions, and have to get to the focus point of the matter. And this is the focus point.
Yeah.
Guild leadership. Because I'm in a very conflicted position to discuss the Guild government. It would be so easy to discuss the Guild government if they would objectively take in criticism that it's not personal, but it is for us to better ourselves. Yes? Now, I keep wondering in what perspective will they pick my position as a person in line with their challenges, achievements. Indeed, there have been achievements. I want to credit the Parliament for having inspired the journey to constitutional amendment process. That is very commendable work. And as Launchpad, we forwarded in our views, like I noted, the electoral reforms, process through which our leaders are caught, processes through which cabinet is appointed, processes through which the electoral commission is appointed. The guild constitution carried a whole combo of powers and vested it into the hands of our guild president. And maybe to them, like I was reading what Professor Kanyehamba thought in the framers of the Constitution thought what was the best for us. They thought we would have a president who would have it in mind that after 2 terms I need to retire. Dr. Sam Kaziwe alludes to George Washington, who was the first president of the US, who had ruled for 2 terms. And then they're like, after they had gotten their constitution, but it was open in term limits, they're like, no, you can go further with your term of service. I think beyond 2 terms. He's like, no, let us take it to 2 terms. Not until the coming of Franklin Delano Roosevelt that rose them beyond 2 terms, the tradition that was never in the Constitution. So I want to bring that, to marry that with the framers of the Constitution. Maybe they thought, they said that there would be, all presidents would think like the past. That no, look, we must not have a constitutional provision that says the vice president must be this, the vice president must come to this, as you're appointing your cabinet, you must balance this and that. They thought that would come freely to the minds of a president. But now this last year, we're caught in a situation where we thought there had to be a provision. As we speak today, the guild government doesn't have a finance minister. All they have is a shadow in the name of a finance minister. I was asking one of them, and they stated that they have a finance minister who was the minister for ICT, now was reappointed. Once you're vetted to be minister for ICT, you're only fit for ICT. If you're minister for garbage, if you're vetted and you qualify to be minister for garbage, that doesn't qualify you to be minister for finance after the other day just because you went through as minister for garbage. So if you vetted someone and is fit to be minister for ICT, that doesn't qualify him to be minister for finance. We don't have minister for finance. We don't have minister for presidents. We don't have minister for sports. That one is embattled is being hunted by the hunters or the people that he once hunted with. So yes. So we are looking at the kind of a government that is caught up in such chaos. And so we get so challenged to weigh it. But I want to credit it for the fireworks. That is commendable, and everyone has been talking about the fireworks. And also,
I have to mention that they put this fireworks and a budget of 700,000. That was the official budget of the Freshers Board.
Only
700,000, but they're able to come up with all that.
Oh, that's commendable. But then would wish to have the IGG, but again, I cannot call on the IGG to come and audit the books that was on the stage himself dancing. And that's why we find ourselves caught. And that's why we talk about the constitutional amendments. Because for us to better anything, I think we need to first put right our constitution.
Yeah.
We have the IGG, Inspectorate of Government, that attends cabinet meetings. We have the Chief Justice that attends cabinet meetings. Where is the separation of powers there? So when is the IGG, yet is part of the dancers, the queen dancers on the stage, going to hold the government accountable? Under whose budget? You see, there are lots of questions, and I think the focus point cannot be, the time we have on focus point cannot be fit enough to exhaust this. But then, as I conclude, I want us to talk about the point of IGG. Nowhere in the Constitution is it mentioned. Nowhere. But we have it established, and I think these people are receiving an allowance. But who are they going to? We are trying to cut on government expenditures and excessives, but again, we're trying to push in another office. Who has vetted them? They have not been vetted. At least they have not gone through any kind of a sieve of parliament, and you have them established. They're government officials, and we are accountable to them as students, as clubs. You gave me 5 minutes. The guild government is in their budget. If it is indeed the one that I read, the guild government is has awarded 100,000 shillings to each club for their activities, I think throughout their political term.
They budgeted for roughly 20 clubs.
20 clubs.
We have 33 registered clubs.
But now they budgeted for 20 clubs. Each club has 100K. Launchpad has never received that money. Masogan State has never received that money. How are we operating? This must be the direct way through which we benefit. We have a direct touch. If someone is a passionate debater, they go and debate. If they are passionate about law society, they go there. But then when do we feel the presence of the guild government? But we are having them dressed in t-shirts, but they budgeted under the office of PM, they budgeted for 68 t-shirts, each costing us 50,000 shillings. And that money is there. The Attorney General is looking for robes of 700,000 shillings on our budget. And that's what I've been talking about. these things need to be answered by the amendments and the reviews that the Commission is carrying on. How much should we meet the burden of looking after our guild officials? Is it worth it to pay them a salary, then have them for lunch, then have them for whatever trips? Now, the current debate that is taking place is, are we going to Mombasa or Zanzibar? That's the debate that is consuming time of the cabinet. Should we have that as a government? So, several things must be answered by the constitutional amendments and the reviews and the provisions that are yet to consider, and we are so lucky that we have the chairperson of the commission here with us.
The secretary.
The secretary to
yes.
Yes, to the committee is here with us. Those issues are very pertinent for us to create a better future for the posterity. We need to address the leadership question within the Center of Excellence.
Fair enough. I'd like to come to you at that point. He has just alluded to the constitutional amendment process. I'd like you to touch a bit on it because it's in Victoria that you received the recommendations from Koyoyo and his vice president.
Yes.
So briefly take us through what has that process looked like. It seems to be one of the last dips of hope we have to see the rule of law enforced. So how has it been? And put us up to speed.
Yes, thank you. We have done a good job, at least I can say. We are in the final stages. We had our first sitting where we tabled most of these issues. But prior to this first sitting, we had an interaction with the students' fraternity. That is at the launch pad, one of the sessions of the launch pad. My emails have been open. My WhatsApp has been open. I have been receiving a few recommendations from students individually. But still prior to all this, we also had a meeting as the legal committee of the parliament. And in this meeting, we tabled a few that in our perspective required an amendment. But of which these have been, there has been an addition from the students' fraternity, as I said before, and also from the parliamentarians in our first sitting. The second sitting, we were able to conclusively agree on the proposed amendments. These proposed amendments were taken back to the legal committee, and I, as the secretary, were able to draft a document. These documents are the ones that I have shared with the chairperson, and these documents, I can assure you, encompass all the amendments from the suggestions of the students' fraternity from the two sittings that we were able to have. So, as I said before when I was beginning, we are in our final stages. What do the final stages look like? One, the draft documents that I shared with the chairperson today were shared with the administration, and of course our immediate overseer in under the administration is the DOSA. So I am very optimistic that the DOSA is looking through these documents, the drafts of the amendments, and very optimistic that these drafts will then be shared with the council, and then we can now proceed with seeing how best to implement an amended constitution, and hopefully by the beginning of next semester we shall have some conclusive news on the amendment. Yes.
Our time is fast spent, but in under 30 seconds, what would you like to see next semester?
What would I like to see? I think next semester is going to be a very, very, very busy semester, considering that it's going to have many activities. It's going to have the close of the 27th Guild Government's regime, and we are also going to be seeing the ushering in of the 28th Guild Government. That is one, and that is, I believe, is going to be a highlight. Of course, there's going to be the election period. So now, with these activities, I strongly request, and I think this is something that I think as one of the, I think I'm the most rigorous person on the parliament who is very interested in seeing the students actively participating in these civic activities. Yeah. So I believe what I need from next semester from the students' fraternity is having these people, coming out, participating, loving the activities, and looking at bringing in people. Because one thing I know is that the students' fraternity were very decisive last time in the last elections. They were able to bring the most capable leaders. These are the people that I work with on the parliament. And at least what we know is that the parliament is elected by the electorate. Yes. So that was a good showcase of civic engagement, though I believe it can be doubled. It can be better. Let us have a better turnout. Let us have people participating. Let us have people who are actually interested in some of these activities. I think it's a bit worrisome to see that there are many unopposed positions, unopposed candidates. I think that's a bit worrisome. Maybe it could be fortunate enough for the candidate, but I think it's a bit worrisome because that means that we are not going to have the engagement that we expect. We are not going to have a fun field, because apart from the whole activity, I think campaigns are quite fun. The whole activity is fun. So we need that engagement, we need that excitement, we need that thrill during the process itself and even after the process. So I think that is what I'm looking forward to next semester, and I'm very hopeful that this government is going to have a wonderful close. So far, I could say that we are doing some good work. It is good enough, though I believe it can still be doubled. So I believe our close of regime next semester is also something I'm looking forward to. Yes.
Fair enough. Koyoyo, under 30 seconds, what would you want to see?
Honorable Morunji preempts my concern as regards to the participation from the contestants to the students. There is a syndicate that has been happening in our electoral democracy within the university. There is a rumor that some candidates pay EC members to have at least 2 candidates. And you know that in one or the other, you've already qualified. And that kills the spirit and the energy within and the quality of the leaders that we get. Someone will know how I just know the button to press and indirectly become an opposite. So we need now, I have lots of confidence in the current EC chairperson, Honorable Asunta Kwaji, that should not fall a victim, a culprit of these inconsistencies. Let us have positions. The vetting, all that someone needs is 20. Let someone have 20 people nominate them and they come and contest. That we shall have a credible election. People will work and it also testify to the kind of leaders. But when you go and assess the people that came through unopposed, and also the people that were just passed under the carpet to be cabinet ministers, you can tell that indeed there is something that you still question. The other thing, and to why I pray so much that the commission passes the process of the amendment of the constitution is hastened, is the appointment of ministers. We shouldn't go into the 28th government shouldn't face the situation that we went through with the 27th in the appointment of ministers. Let there be a criteria through which someone becomes a minister. Let someone becoming a minister be nominated also. At least we know when you have the General Assembly, a minister will be able to inspire at least 10 students. But this business of having a minister who cannot even identify with people of their faculty, but just because someone danced during the campaigns and so they appointed ministers, someone pinned up posters and so they appointed ministers. For me, in year 1, in year 2, when I danced during campaigns, we were appointed, I and Eliashimo, but we declined the positions. All we wanted was service delivery, something that we could stand confident and talk about. Can we have such a spirit reinstated in the students that you can campaign, you can dance, and also the presidents themselves, you can have people around you. But this business of having ministers whose sole business is to comment on the dress code of the president, and that's their sole role, to share flyers and nothing beyond that, cannot help us build the future that we're trying to push forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And that brings us to the end of the focus point this semester. We've coming to you from the ambience of the Hamukasa Library. We do thank the staff here for hosting us. And of course, we'll be glad to see you again next semester. Please do subscribe to the channel like Nkoyo earlier said. And of course, have yourselves a nice exam period until we meet again next semester. Bye.
You are watching UCU Focus TV.